So in this video, we are going to present our very own typology for men's essences and styling by discussing kind of two dimensions upon which we think all men can be placed. Welcome to Style Thoughts by Vida with our very special guest, my beautiful, wonderful, perfect angel husband, Mirajuddin, who is a co-creator of this system. We haven't done any research on men's essences because this video is just for fun. And also feel free to vehemently disagree or strongly agree with us in the comments because we would love to hear what you think.
Or to like point out whether this is similar to some already existing system because we don't know. We didn't do any research.
Yeah, we didn't do any research.
This just flow forth from our heart.
And we're both researchers, so we're a bit self-conscious about that. But sometimes you have to let the heart speak.
Yeah.
Okay, so our heart has spoken, and our heart has specifically spoken about creating a system where we can place men on this like quadrant that corresponds to an essence, which in our conceptualization is this blend of your physical and psychological characteristics, right? And the aim kind of really understanding these essences is like A, it's fun, but B, we actually think that this is a really interesting like tool to use in your style repertoire because you want to dress in accordance with your essence, right?
Yeah.
Do you want to talk a bit about that?
Yeah, so I think just as you can have you have a psychological makeup, and that psychological makeup determines the way in which it makes sense and is natural for you to act, right? So for example, if you are just naturally kind of a withdrawn person, perhaps some might call you an introvert or something, but you act really extroverted. It's something you can do, right? But it comes off as kind of a weird, plus
conflicting.
Yeah. And you feel worse doing that.
And you feel worse.
Yeah. And just as some people, you can also have a physical makeup. For example, you can be narrow or broad, and you can be really forward and kind of charging at you. But you can also be more just tall and elegant and laid back. And if you act in accordance, that is, you kind of behave with your body as if in alignment with that physical makeup, you come off as better, you feel better, it just looks smoother.
So this is about looking better, being received better by others, and feeling at home.
Yeah, and now if you dress in accordance with both your physical and your psychological makeup, then that is when you dress in accordance with your essence. And if you do that, you just, look and feel better, right?
Okay, so now we're going to show you our essence system. And it's like I said, it's a quadrant, right? So we're going to show you the extremes in every corner and then some in-betweens. But first, we're going to explain to you our system. And we're really excited about this. Also, this is obviously just for fun. So, don't get upset.
But it's also extremely helpful and useful.
Extremely helpful and useful. Okay. So now let's look at our system. And our system starts with this left to right spectrum. That's the first dimension. And this dimension really corresponds to kind of the core being, vibe, feeling of people. So let's look at some of the
men.
Yeah, of men. Am I reading the words? Okay, so now on the left we have intimidating, the father, raw, nihilistic, wild, the shadow, utilitarian. On the right, we have impressive, the sun, pure, anxious, refined, the light, and virtue ethics. So if these words don't mean anything to you yet, just hang tight because I think the examples will clarify a lot. But do you want to say something?
Yeah, so I think the examples will clarify a lot. But let me just unpack this a bit via a comparison, right? So for example, we have intimidating and impressive as contrasting. This is just to say that a person who falls on the left, they will be a bit more intimidating in their presence. It will be ooh, But the person who is impressive will be more you're drawn to them in a kind of way, right? And then you have this other contrast, such as the father and the son, which means that the people on the left, they are more signified as the strong father, while the people on the right are more signified kind of as the good son.
Yeah, the good son. So these keywords are also really meant to be evocative.
Yes.
They're not meant to be literal. We're trying to capture a state of being. that is very dreamy and poetic.
Yeah. And I think like the key comparison in terms of keyword is raw versus pure, right? So the people on the left, there would just be something raw about their essence. One could almost say a bit like animalistic, a bit wild.
But not in a bad way.
And not in a bad way, in a very normatively good way. While the people on the right, they would come off more as like pure
civilized.
Civilized.
If we can say that. Also in a good way.
Yeah, also in a good way. And now you might ask, you see, oh, the people on the left, they are described as nihilistic. Well, the people on the right are described as anxious. But this is to say that like, when the people at the left like kind of come to their worst, you would expect them to fall into some type of nihilism, both in their appearance and in their display, but also in their like disposition.
Yes, right? It's more about the shadow, latent.
Yeah. While the people on the right, they would be more characterized at their worst by being overly anxious, uptight almost.
Uptight, yeah.
Yeah. And the last one to address is just this like utilitarianism versus virtue ethics. And I think that a part of everyone's kind of like essence, right, is the kind of moral disposition to some extent. And we think that people on the left will be more characterized by like thinking in terms of like, or like looking and appearing as if they think in terms of...
Yeah, this is not necessarily what they actually think.
Yeah.
It's like what you would kind of expect for them to be.
And how they would dress in accordance with, you know. Yeah, so they would be more characterized by thinking in terms of, you know, utility maximizing, while the people on the right would be more characterized in terms of like having a moral compass centered around like following rules and duties.
Yeah, okay. So now we're gonna talk about the other axis, which is our up and down axis. Okay, and so for the up axis, we have the following words: deliberate, like role and context specific, effort, structured, thought through, ornate, kind of persona. Whereas the down axis is kind of like effortless, universal, intuitive, ease, casual, bare, and personality. And as you can see, this up and down axis refers less to kind of like the vibe and really more into like the styling and the way that the person is like presented and the way they bring themselves out into the world. Is there something you want to say more about this, Miraj?
Yeah, so if we get to the picture where we have all four of them.
Yeah. Oh.
Then we can see here that the left and the right axis kind of more determines and describes the person's like spirit and essence, while the up and down parameterizes how they can put that essence on display in their styling, right? And obviously none of this has been to say that like we have given a perfect description of what the right, left, up and down are, but we've used the concepts to like zoom in on the centerpiece of each axis, so to speak.
Yeah, so this is like, you know, this is a brand new system to us, so we haven't completely refined it, but we think like the left, right, up and down really speaks to something, which you will see, but we're not sure if our words are exactly correct yet. Okay, so now let's look at some examples and it will all become so much clearer. We're going to start with Henry Cavill.
Yeah.
Many people's favorite.
Beautiful man.
Beautiful man. Okay. And Henry Cavill is our example of a person who really occupies the far up, far right quadrant. So here's some pictures of Henry Cavill looking great.
Yeah, so here's where we think Henry Cavill looks at his best. And as I said, he's far right, which, well, he's not far right politically, but you know, he's far right on this axis, which means, you know, he comes off as like impressive, the good son, pure, right? And we feel like refined. And when he dresses in that manner, right, he just looks amazing.
And look at this, like the outfits, it's like the suits, they're very like structured, very tailored, very kind of fancy, you know, there's like very conservative, but like not in a, like, again, this is not about being political. It's more like he's really fulfilling like the role.
Yeah, there's nothing casual about him here, but there is this essential role fulfillment of the civilized
gentleman.
The civilized gentleman.
That's
right.
kind of the role he's occupying, right? So it's not really about his personality, but it's really about him presenting himself through this sophisticated worldly gentleman that he really shines.
Yeah.
Whereas if we look at Henry Cavill in just two much more casual outfits,
then we see that he doesn't look equally good, right? So in the first picture where he has this white kind of shirt, he's way more to the left. That he's trying to tap in more to his rawness. And in both pictures, he's like also way more down. That is, he's like less structured, less about more casual, and he just looks worse. And we think the kind of explaining hypothesis for this is because he's not dressing in accordance to his essence.
Yeah, so it's like if you look at these photos of him in kind of like jeans and t-shirt, you're just like, who's that guy?
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't even come off as natural. It just seems forced to him. And this really speaks to something important of this system, that even though you would think people who dress more up, be them either on the left or the right, have put much like more force into their actual dressing up, they don't come off as forced when they dress that way. They rather come off as having forced when they dress down.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, but it's not always about wearing a suit, right?
Yeah.
So now we're going to look at Timothée Chalamet, who we believe occupies the far right, far down corner of our little quadrant here. And here are some examples of Timothée Chalamet looking amazing in what we call far right, far down outfits, in the sense that we think he's really channeling this essence of being impressive, the sun, very pure, the light, bit anxious kind of virtue, but at the same time his style is very effortless, intuitive, it's very casual, it's very bare, and it's very like personality driven. Like he's not playing a role of some like specific type of person, but he's really just being Timothy, and that's when he shines. Whereas if we compare him to these outfits, where on the very left, I think that's like a left down outfit, in the middle that's a left up outfit, and on the right it's a right up outfit. I mean, these are just some examples. I just think like he does not look nearly as good in any of these. Obviously he's a beautiful celebrity, just like Henry Cavill, like he looks really good, you know, whatever, but it's like the specialness, the unique beauty of him is not shining through in these outfits nearly as much as they do in his previous outfits, which have a lot more of this like effortless, intuitive feeling combined with that kind of pure, the sun, impressive energy. Now we're going to look at Jason Momoa. And Jason Momoa, we believe, occupies the far up, far left corner in our quadrant. So in that way, he's really kind of the opposite of both Henry Cavill and Timothée Chalamet, but in different ways. So Jason Momoa, look at him in these up left outfits, right? So on the one hand, he very much has this raw, father, wild, kind of shadow, intimidating like essence. But on the other hand, he also has this style where he really shines in outfits that are very deliberate, very structured, very thought through, very ornate. So he has, you know, these rings, these necklaces, this very fancy fabric, everything is like ironed, there's just a lot of detailing, and he really shines when he's playing into this like persona, right? So he is this, you know, the guy who like will drink like whiskey out of the bottle and like, you know, like really like this very like intuitive, manly, wild force of nature. And that's kind of like the role and the persona you want to see him show up in, and that's where he really shines. In contrast, when we look at him looking in kind of like a plain black suit or outfits that I think the mid-center is like a left down outfit and the right one is like a right down outfit that are, I mean, again, yeah, he's like beautiful, etc. But it's like you're not seeing that like true essence and beauty that only Jason Momoa can bring into the world, and he just looks a bit off in these outfits even, and like obviously to various degrees. Like I think the middle one is still like the best one because it's still very far left for him.
Yeah, and I think if we really focus in on the outfit here to the left, you can really like get out the contrast between him and Henry Cavill and like further understand the difference between the left and the right. Because here both of these outfits, in both like the suit outfit he wears here and the previous suit outfits we showed, he's wearing a suit, right? So one would think, oh okay, he should look equally good in both. But he doesn't, and the reason he doesn't isn't necessarily because there's a difference in terms of like their structure or in terms of their just ornateness, right? But the rather is the difference is that one of the suits really allows for him to tap into this like rawness of his like essence, while the other, the latter one, is black and white, just it doesn't give an expression for that.
Yeah, it's not intimidating.
Yeah.
it's not showcasing his wildness in any
exactly.
way. Whereas wearing like a shiny purple, like, you know, suit to a red carpet is like wild in combination with all the other elements.
Yeah.
Really, yeah, that's really good. Okay, should we move on? Or?
Yeah.
Okay, so now let's go, and now we're going to show Tom Hardy. That finishes up our quadrants. And so Tom Hardy, we believe, is all the way left and all the way down.
And this is now where I think you, the viewer, will get like a really understanding here as we fill in the missing puzzle piece. So Tom Hardy is left, so he has the same thing as like Jason Momoa in the sense so that he's like intimidating. Just look at him, he looks like a bit of an intimidating figure. He doesn't look like an impressive figure in the same sense as Henry Cavill. And he also has this rawness to him, this wildness to him, this shadow essence, you can just see it coming forth.
He just wouldn't care about anything at his worst.
Yeah, at his worst, you see the nihilism there lurking under the surface. But he's down instead of up. So he's not left up as Jason Momoa, but he's left down. And this you can see in the fact that he just looks really good in this more casual, more intuitive outfits, this more laid-back outfit, right? Where there's not that much effort into it, there isn't that much structure into it, there isn't necessarily this role and context for film, but there's more just this like personable, universal, like coming throughness in his outfits. So if we look at the picture, these ones, here, right? Yeah. So to the left here, we have a right down outfit.
Yeah.
Which is like, what's going on? I mean, it is as casual as his previous outfits, right? So it is as down. It has the same effortless intuitiveness, casualness. But it doesn't look good because it doesn't tap into his intimidatingness, his rawness, and his wildness.
And he looks kind of creepy. I think it really gives me the creeps. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, and to the right, you see him wearing a suit, and the suit is more to the kind of like left up. So you could see Jason Momoa pulling off something similar to that. But again, for Tom Hardy, it doesn't work because it just looks forced on him, right? It looks like, why are you putting in so much effort? This is not who you are. You're supposed to be casual and intuitive. This is your essence. And when he doesn't dress in accordance with it, even if he stays on the left side of the quadrant, it just doesn't work for him.
Yeah, that's really beautifully said. Okay. Yeah.
And here we see how he would like look in a suit-ish outfit, but still looking really good because it's one that both allows him to tap into his downness, that is his, intuitiveness and casualness, while still allowing him to be really on the left in terms of that it allows his rawness to come through.
And it's just the little things, like this weird, like the fun shirt edge and like the necklace, his chest hair, those sunglasses.
The gold on his belt.
Yeah, then when he's standing or something, but just more,
The lack of the tie.
Okay, now this is really funny. This is just for fun, but we think Bruce Willis is like the true neutral in a chart. Like he's not up, he's not down, he's not left, and he's not right. He's just in the middle. We're not going to get in depth here with Bruce Willis, but we wanted to say that we both think there's a true neutral on this chart, but we also think that there's people, like we don't think that this is like you have one place and you stay in that place your whole life and you can't move around. This is not a restrictive system.
Yeah.
Do you want to say something about the movers, Miraj?
Yeah, let me just first comment one thing on the restrictiveness of it all, which is that, your psychological and physical makeup can change throughout your life, right? We're not deterministic in that sense. And once that change, your style ought to change with it. But there are these movers, we think at least, which are people who perhaps are right. Hint, we think Michael B. Jordan is right, but he can go equally well up and equally well down, as long as he stays within a certain range. And for example, Hugh Jackman, although we think he will be better on the left, he can also go to the right to some extent. And perhaps there are even some, Johnny Depp, who can kind of move around all quadrants.
Yeah. So this system is about flexibility really, but we do think like a lot of the examples we presented, like that's where they belong. And now we want to kind of like just fill in and like move away from the edges and into the quadrants so you can kind of see some...
Get the nuances.
The
intricacies.
The intricacies. Okay. So let's first look at Idris Elba. Idris Elba, we think, is up to the right, but he's not as far up as, Superman?
Henry Cavill.
And he's not as to the right as Henry Cavill, but he's still up to the right. So we think, like, Idris Elba, he looks great. He definitely has this essence of being really impressive, the good son, really pure, maybe kind of anxious, very refined, the light, really virtue. And he looks great in outfits which are also quite up, which is, like, very deliberate, kind of structured, thought through, but not, like, necessarily as ornate, not necessarily as much effort, not as locked into the persona as Henry Cavill. And I mean, look at Idris Elba here, trying to wear a down outfit or like a left up outfit. It's like, you're just like, who's that guy, right? He's like a great, handsome man, but you're not like getting slapped in the face with that Idris Elba magnetism in these outfits and similar outfits where he moves away. But still, if you imagine like Henry Cavill in the outfit on the right, like Idris Elba looks much better than Henry Cavill would.
Yeah, exactly. So the kind of suitish outfit here, I think really highlights what we mean when we say he's like less to the right and less up than Henry Cavill, because he kind of can pull it off to some extent.
It's just that it's not
like the best for him. But Henry Cavill would look really ridiculous in that, because he's
like
just
any style like that.
Any style like that, because he just really is in that right top corner.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, and now let's look at Chadwick Boseman. Rest in peace. And Chadwick Boseman, we think, is up but to the left. And again, he's like more inwards towards the center compared to Jason Momoa. And so like here's some great kind of up, kind of left outfits. So we think Chadwick Boseman, he has this kind of raw, a bit of wild, a bit of intimidating energy. But come on, he's nowhere near as raw, wild, nihilistic as Jason Momoa. But we still think like he's got a bit more of that vibe than he does of the pure sun kind of vibe. And also he's like less up, so he looks better and looks that are a bit like less structured, a bit less effort, a bit less deliberate, but still like that's the side of the equation where he looks really good. And like just note that he has so much like detailing kind of on his clothes, like he has like zippers on his shoes, or his like sneakers really match his like jacket. Like there's just a lot going on, but it doesn't look kind of too much on him because he still looks really good when he's fulfilling this kind of role, the persona of Chadwick Boseman, right? Whereas if we look at outfits where I think these are both right outfits to me.
Yeah, definitely.
And I'm just like, who is that guy again? Like this right picture from GQ, I don't even know who that is supposed to be. I couldn't even believe that was Chadwick Boseman at first, because it's like, yeah, he's not. It's just I think the picture on the right is so, the right, pure, the sun, the light, and it's just like, it doesn't look like him at all. But, still, like, in this and his regular looks, it's like, you can see the difference between him and, like, a Jason Momoa style figure. Okay, now we're going to move on to Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, so we think Ryan Reynolds is our kind of right down, but significantly less down and a bit less right than Timothée Chalamet. And what do we mean by this? So if we look at these outfits, they're both these casual, intuitive outfits. But they're less so than the ones that Timothée Chalamet was wearing, because you have these like shoes that are matching with the belt, and they're like more dress up and fancy shoes. So it's a bit more, he's already moving up. But he just looks great in this, right? He looks great when he adds in a bit of structure, adds in a bit of deliberation into this general casual flow. But if you look at these outfits, so you have the outfit to the left here is a down outfit that is like as down as the Timothée Chalamet was, and also like more to the left than what Ryan Reynolds should be. He just looks sloppy. It's like, what's going on? What are you doing? He needs a bit of more structure, and he needs to be a bit of more of a good guy to come through. But if you look now also at the outfit to the right, which is like, what for lack of a better word, a Henry Cavill type of outfit, it's really up. So it really is like deliberate, it's really effort, it's a lot of structure, and it looks like he's trying to fulfill a role in a specific context, while simultaneously being even more to the right, he's trying to come off as really impressive, as really pure. It just doesn't work for Ryan.
It just seems fake.
It just seems fake for Ryan.
And look at his face. He doesn't even believe it.
He doesn't believe it one bit.
Sorry, I just got so excited. Okay. And Okay, we have nothing to say about Chris Pratt right now. We just found this picture, and Miraj had like a really, really good comment, which is...
Well, Chris Pratt is like obviously to the right.
Yeah.
And sometimes he thinks he's to the left, but then he just looks bad. But crucially, that face that Chris Pratt is making in there, a person on the left would never make that face.
It's not possible for a person on the left.
Yeah. And like if they made that fake, they wouldn't look. They would look like so stupid making that face. Well, Chris Pratt, you might think, oh, why he's making that face?
It's kind of sexy.
But simultaneously, okay, yeah, it works. You know, you're pulling that face off, whatever that is. You know.
Okay, and now we're gonna get to Chris Hemsworth, which is our left down, but less left and less down example.
Yeah.
Okay, so Chris Hemsworth here, he is looking very, very cash. You can see, like, we think Chris Hemsworth he's not so far to the left. He's kind of close to center, but we think he has more of this wildness, he's more raw, more kind of intimidating than impressive. We don't think he's so far down either, but we think there is something in him that is a bit universal, intuitive, effortless. So you can see that these outfits are actually similar to what Ryan Reynolds was wearing, like in the level of formality. But something about like his vibe, especially in the middle where it's like he's wearing just the most casual kind of bare outfit. And I think he looks really wonderful in that picture instead of looking kind of sloppy and lost. And I think that really speaks to the fact that there's just this kind of effortless, intuitive vibe in him that Chris Hemsworth kind of shines when he shows up as Chris Hemsworth, not as somebody who's like fulfilling some kind of like role.
And here I think we really see what Rita was like saying with the fact that even though he is like closer to the center, he doesn't step over to the right. Because if we look at the outfit when he is wearing this blue shirt with the actress, that is a right down outfit. So you could see Ryan Reynolds wearing that and looking kind of good. You could see Timothy Chalamet wearing that and looking kind of good, although he should have something even more casual than that to be at his best. But for Chris Hemsworth, it just doesn't work because that outfit doesn't give him the opportunity to express what is more fundamentally part of his characteristics and essence, which is this like raw attitude, which is this kind of like wildness. It doesn't have any room for that, and hence it just doesn't work. While the picture on the left here is left up, kind of left center up. So if we just move straight up with Chris Hemsworth, he would wear those more types of outfits. And while they work to some extent, because he's still on the left, they don't work at his previous outfits. Because when he tries to be a bit more deliberate and he tries to be in this specific role to fulfill this context, it just looks a bit forced on him, right? You can just see that this is not him at his best.
Yeah. So there you have it. There's our little spectrum where we have placed some celebrities. And in our future videos, our intention is to take you through this kind of like our spectrum quadrant by quadrant and kind of describe more what we mean, because we are aware that in this video we've talked a lot about like left styling or right styling, and it's so obvious to us, and perhaps it doesn't feel as obvious to you, but we didn't want to like describe the details because we're really after right now like the feeling, right? We think that this like quadrant approach actually is a really good approach, and we just want to like run it by you, our amazing, intelligent, sweet, capable viewers, and see what you think, and if it's like vibing with you, or if you're like, what is this, guys? Like, come on. Like,
well, to be fair, your viewers, I'm just here for this particular video series because I was part of the creating it. But anyway, as Rita said.
It's okay.
Well,
my viewers, yeah.
I just want. Was that weird? Sorry. We can cut that out, right?
I don't want to cut anything out. Just keep talking.
Oh no. Okay. As Rita was saying, we're gonna make more videos about this, and those videos, I think, will really give you, as we say in philosophy, the necessary and sufficient conditions for what really constitutes left up, left down, right up, and right down. But I think, like at this point, we have given you hopefully sufficient information to feel the intuitive force of this way of systematizing.
Yes, okay, so thank you very much for watching my channel, and have a great day, and let me know what you think. Bye!